All right, so Gatsby and Daisy have finally met again, which is very awkward for poor Nick, who is partly there because he's our narrator and so he has to witness it, and partly there as chaperone, and partly there because it just makes it so much more awkward for for all of them. Oh man, I feel so bad for Nick in this chapter. It's just, oh, that'd be so embarrassing. Couple of things that I wanted to point out about chapter 5 in terms of symbolism that I hope you caught. One of the things that happens as soon as Daisy walks into the room is Gatsby has actually broken a clock, which seems like and could be just the simple breaking of a clock, but it could also represent the fact that Gatsby has been trying for so long to make his way back in time and just cannot move on. He cannot accept that life is different now. He's come home from wherever he's been and has this new life that he's trying to set up, and he just can't move forward. He can't let himself live. He's still stuck on Daisy. He still watches that darn green light from the edge of his dock. So that could be one of those symbols that you look at me and say, okay, seriously, really, you're pulling symbolism out of a clock? But I promise you, F. Scott Fitzgerald does not do this stuff on accident. So take what you will. Gatsby stops the clock, whether that represents anything to you or not. That's how most people interpret it. Another thing that I want you to look at that is definitely more of a very obvious symbol is the fact that when Daisy goes into his house, the way the house is described. Go back and take a look at that description. Anytime a character visits another character's house, there's a decent amount of symbolism in how that house represents the true interior of the person who lives there. You see this, for example, in Pride and Prejudice. If you've ever seen that movie or read the story, you know that when Elizabeth first visits Darcy's house, she actually figures out that he's really not the arrogant jerk that she's thought he was, that his house is actually really nice, and it's well taken care of, and it's beautiful, and it's simply decorated but elegant at the same time, which is a very decent representation for how Darcy is as a person. He's wealthy, sure, and his house is very large and grand, but it's not ostentatious and it's not intimidating like Lady Catherine de Bourgh's is. Gatsby, kind of the same thing. When Daisy visits Gatsby's house, look at the way things are described, look at the things he has in excess or the things that he has in moderation. All of those give a pretty decent representation of Gatsby in reality, not necessarily just Gatsby, the facade he puts on. So keep an eye on that part of the chapter as it might be particularly useful coming up, and I will see you after you've read chapter 6.